Through Kirtan, we've been transported to Vrindavan. Did any of you feel like you were in Vrindavan? I meant to share this with Govinda. One evening, the particular melody that you were singing and the mood and everything, I don't know how to say this properly, but I felt Indra's presence. And it was a nice feeling. So our concluding message, I thought of referring to a few verses from Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is our primary source of hearing transcendental messages of Krishna and his various incarnations as they appear in this world. It's one of in the first chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We discussed this when we were at Sutta Gadi, the 6 questions, 6 answers, make up the essence of the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, found in the first 3 chapters of Canto 1. One of those questions was, please describe the forms of the Lord as they appear in this world, because previously as the creation He created, then He appeared in that place that He created, and then why? So the Bhagavatam then expands. The answer is chapter 3, a series of incarnations are presented, and Krishna is the source of them all. So one of those is Lord Ramachandra, whose source of emanation is Krishna. Within Krishna is everything, including Lord Ramachandra. He's part of everything that's within Krishna. So Srimad Bhagavatam describes the benefit of doing what we've been doing. So I thought that would be a fitting conclusion. Just a few verses. Canto 2, Chapter 2, Text 37. This is Shukadeva Goswami speaking to Maharaj Parikshit. Those who drink through oral reception, fully filled with the nectarian message of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the beloved of the devotees, purify the polluted aim of life, known as material enjoyment, and thus go back to Godhead, taking shelter at His lotus feet. And some portions of Prabhupada's purport. By sufficient hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam, the glories of the Lord, the polluted aim of life, namely lording it over matter, will subside, and people in all parts of the world will be able to live a peaceful life of knowledge and bliss. Another paragraph. By sufficient hearing of the transcendental message of the Lord, the material contamination is directly eliminated without one's attempting other processes. And by practicing bhakti yoga, if the performer is not purified from the material contamination, he must be a pseudo-devotee. For such an impostor, there's no remedy for being freed from material entanglement. It's medicine to cure the disease of material existence. Is another verse that Bhavo Sadakshotra Mano Viramat specifically says like that. It's medicine that you take through the ear, and it cures the disease of the material condition. And the disease of the material condition is trying to be Krishna, trying to be the enjoyer of all that you survey, and thinking in those terms, I'm at the center, what's happiness for me, and miserable life. The disease is cured by the process of hearing. So Canto 4. My dear king, this is Narada speaking to the king Prachini. My dear king, in the place where pure devotees live, following the rules and regulations, and thus purely conscious and engaged with great eagerness in hearing and chanting the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in that place, if one gets a chance to hear their constant flow of nectar, which is exactly like the waves of a river, one will forget the necessities of life, hunger and thirst, and become immune to all kinds of fear, lamentation, and delusion. That's pretty powerful. The permanent solution to life's problems is go to the spiritual realm, where there's no fear, no lamentation, no illusion. There's transcendental feeling, for sure, but the worldly kind of feeling is left behind. Then, next to the last chapter in the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 12, Chapter 12, Shukadeva Goswami is speaking about the narrative, doing what we've been doing. When people properly glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or simply hear about His power, the Lord personally enters their hearts and cleanses away every trace of misfortune, just as the sun removes the darkness, or as a powerful wind drives away the clouds. And finally, one who, with undeviating attention, constantly recites this literature at every moment of every hour, as well as one who faithfully hears even one verse, or a half a verse, or a single line, or even half a line, certainly purifies his very self. We heard something almost the same in the Bhagavad Mahatmya description, the glories of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And the glories of the Srimad Bhagavatam in essence is what we've been doing. hearing primarily from Valmiki and other sources. The glories of the personality of Godhead. When you receive the document that will be sent out shortly, if it hasn't already been sent out, one of those famous parts of Ramayana is when the bridge is being built by the Vanaras, and a very popular story is a squirrel is kicking in some small stones and pebbles, and Hanuman says, "You're in the way, get out of the way." And Ram says, "He's doing to his capacity as you are doing to your capacity. As far as I am concerned, he is as important as you. You are no more important than him. Let him do his service." Those of you that know Ramayana, you know that story. It's not in Valmiki Ramayana. It's not in Adhyatma Ramayana. It's not in Ramcharitamanas. It's in Padma Purana. Yeah. So, but it's the nature of Ram, and it's certainly appropriate. It's not like, hey, that'll be a nice story. It's part of Ram's pastime. It's narrated there and not elsewhere. So, Ram accepts service from anyone. Exactly as he said to Kaikeyi, "It's my nature. I reciprocate with everyone. As they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly." Same as Krishna says, Ram does. So for each of us, we've been, however many days we've been here, some fewer than others, some for the whole duration. We've been taking part in this wonderful attempt by hearing, chanting, remembering, visiting sacred places, attempting to purify ourselves. And that's a nice service. That's a service. We've been surrounded by devotees that have been doing quietly and happily so much service for all of us. Some are seated in the room and some are off doing some service. But that's another transcendental feature that Krishna or Ramachandra, the Supreme Lord, accepts from his devotee. The idea overall of all the different expressions of devotional service is to become attached to him. Become attached to him means serving him and trying according to our capacity, our best, whatever Krishna has given us, to please him. And our primary means of strengthening that spirit of service is hearing and chanting. So we've been doing a lot of hearing and chanting. And soon we'll be going back to someplace, probably doing less hearing and chanting. But the purification that comes, don't lose it. Let the purification, as these verses that we read, directly affect the soul, the true self. If you've taken notes, go back and read your notes. If there are certain passages that you'd like to recall, go back and listen to the recording of those passages, or listen to the whole thing, or not that the experience will be the same, but let the message go in. Something like we heard about Tulsidas, his teacher, recited Ramayana again and again and again and again and again. And although he was a little boy, he eventually started to understand something and became a great devotee of Ram. Srila Prabhupada described about his life. His father, Gaura Mohan, was a Krishna Bhakta. He had deities in his home of Radha Govinda. Seeing his father doing worship, little Abai wanted practiced deities. He called them dolls. So his father provided practiced deities or dolls of Radha Govinda, and his life was devoted to Radha Govinda. He saw Lord Jagannath. He wanted a Jagannath cart to go around the block at his home. So his father provided. Nice story. And his father appealed to sadhus that would come, please bless my son. May he become a nice devotee of Radharani. He became a nice devotee of Radharani. Product of mercy. We're also products of mercy. We don't have prior qualification as others might have. But we're products of mercy, nonetheless. And that mercy goes in to the degree that we're eager to receive it, and then go back again and listen again, and let the message go inside. This is my concluding encouragement. Let the message go inside, and let it sit there in your heart. As these Bhagavatam verses say, Krishna will sit in the heart of one who hears his message and cleanse the heart, and then let the activities going forward in time, when you go back to wherever you're going back to, different places, let that cleansed heart result in deeper contemplation on the personality of Godhead, your relationship with the personality of Godhead, His kindness in accepting you and continuing with your enthusiasm that He give more mercy so you can become more of a better instrument in His service. And in this way, slowly, slowly, progress on the path, as these verses that I read explain, the path back to Godhead. The gift isn't imaginary. It's a gift that the givers, those who have such a gift, wish to give. At the end of this life, to go to Krishna, to go to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and engage in His eternal service. We're going to go somewhere. That's for sure. We're going to die, that's for sure. We're going to go somewhere, that's for sure. And things that we do during this life is going to help determine where that place is that we go. And the invitation is, go back to Godhead. And we're trying earnestly, sincerely, primarily through this method of sound vibration, to hear Shrinvanti, Gayanti, Grananti Sadhavaha. I'd like to thank the devotees that, I've already done this, but the devotees that did the organizing, they spent the whole year. They came to these places 3 times. maybe combination of their time, 100+ hours, just sorting through what might happen and who's going to be the bus company and who's going to be all the logistics. And that was just a planning stage, and a team of devotees that worked on gathering all the subject matter and compiled it. I spent a fair amount of time editing through all what they compiled to come up with something that would fit within the time that we had. All the devotees that did all the background work and are still doing it, the prasadam, and the accommodation, and the transportation, and coming and going, and hospitality, and room changes, and because you're dealing with all these devotees. They're happy. We're happy. And they were happy. So my appreciation publicly goes to all of them, the kitchen devotees, and there's so many untold names of people that are essential to make something like this happen. My gratitude goes to all of them. I'm sure Krishna is smiling on them for that sacrifice of service. Let us move forward on the path back to Godhead, continuing with the hearing and chanting process, hankering for the gift that hearing and chanting is meant to give us. So we'll take some time now, as I said in the morning. Devotees that would like, briefly, to express what your experience was and your understanding, something, your appreciation. Anybody would like to volunteer to do that? Yes. Then Ajita. Go ahead. Okay.
Hare Krishna. I am very thankful to you, Guru Maharaj, and to all the devotees to help understand more about Lord Ramchandra and also to visit these places in the Holy Dham. So I'm very happy to be here, and also now sad that I'll be leaving this association very soon. And I hope to again have more of this association in the future. Thank you.
Please forgive me, I may not be able to express myself properly. I want to share 3 things. First is, I feel like a new world has opened up for me, in some sense. I feel like standing on the shore of this ocean of spirituality that is subtle and deep and very exciting. It's a world of emotions in relation to the personality of Godhead. This idea that you repeatedly mentioned throughout, and you made sure that we try to get it, that these emotions that all of these associates of Lord Ram were experiencing, especially sorrow, the emotion we're trying to avoid in this material world, they're fully immersed in it, and are simultaneously feeling ecstatic feelings with that. As a conditioned soul, in trying to avoid sorrow, I was asking myself as we were going along, is that what I want? To be part of this entourage of living entities who are part of our relationship with God and going through that experience. And it's subtle, but for me, what I understood and felt is that wealth is in loving Krishna. That's my real wealth. And I felt ready to embrace and accept if the path ahead of me is to lead to that kind of intense sorrow. I'm ready to accept it because there's the wealth of loving Krishna. And I feel so grateful that you left no stone unturned to try to help us try to see some part of that. I don't know if I'm expressing myself properly. That was one. The second is the nature of Ram.
The nature of?
Lord Ram.
Yeah.
Two things. One is thematically his loving nature. That sweet exchanges with his brothers where it didn't matter to him. He said, I don't care about the kingdom. I don't want the kingdom if you are not there with me. That was especially sweet, and that was something that was repeated in multiple classes. The second aspect of Lord Ram was his steadfastness. I was especially blown away by the exchange with Vashishta, who's his spiritual authority, and he said, I'm your father's spiritual authority, and I'm commanding you. And his steadfastness to righteousness was staggering. I mean, it just shook me. The third aspect that I wanted to share was my role model and my hero from this whole yatra is Bharata. Something that Lal Gopal Prabhu in St. Louis has shared before is that some commentators in Ramayana say that Ramayana in one sense is a glorification of Bharata. The burden that he took on in terms of the responsibility for the kingdom as well as the burden of infamy, those two aspects, was very moving. The Prabhupada uses the term burden of love in the third canto. And for me, you, Guru Maharaj, are very much a representative of Bharata in my mind, and how I see you conduct yourself as an instrument of Srila Prabhupada, taking on burden of our movement and all the infamy that comes with it as well. So please accept my humble obeisances. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Like to also express my gratitude and appreciation to you and to the devotees who organize this yatra. One appreciation that I have was to being able not only to hear and have an entrance to the understanding of the mood of Lord Ramachandra and the holy Dham of Ayodhya. Specifically, when you explain over and over this mood of socha and sadness and lamentation, and I took it theoretically, but I had an experience when visiting Ayodhya Dham that going through all the different checkpoints and also seeing the condition of the Dham, that is in one sense, it was a bit of abandon or not fully taking care of certain areas, especially the Janmashtami, that as you go to the checkpoint, the deities of Lord Ramachandra, they were in a bit of a shed that you can hardly see. It was a very, abandoned place. And I was feeling some sort of dissatisfaction in the heart. And I tried to think about this feeling of dissatisfaction because I'm in the place of birth of Lord Ramachandra. And the feeling of sadness, and it came that what you were explaining, that actually is a mood, is actually what it's supposed to be, and then it clicked very clearly when you also in another class you explain how Bharata and Lakshman and Guha were starting to cry when they saw the condition of Lord Ramachandra taking rest in a bed of grass, and they were thinking he's the supreme, he's the greatest person, he should be given the greatest facility, and there he is. So I'm thinking, well, there's Lord Ramachandra and there's the holy town of Ayodhya, he should have been glorified in a grandiose way, and there he is in a shed that is, you can hardly see, is very like that. So then is the realization, what you explain, is what it's supposed to be when it brings those feelings of attachment and thinking of the glories of Lord Ramachandra. So I was very grateful to have an entrance to the mood of the Dham and appreciate it like that. And also think of how do we deal with, in our path of devotional service, which is filled with obstacles and setbacks and things that bring some sort of feelings of lamentation, of not being sufficient, capable, or things like that, and how when these feelings are appropriately placed in and with the shelter. You said something that was very profound that I liked very much, that it was one have to be focused and connected to the purpose of the things that one do, and then taking shelter of that, one can go through all the different obstacles that are there. So I think it was a very wonderful yatra and a very wonderful experience to connect to these devotional feelings that they're part of our devotional life, and usually we try to, at least myself, to not pay attention to them because they're sort of, you feel down, but actually they can be very much elevating. So thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. I would like to first thank all the organizers for this wonderful yatra. My appreciation is the one point you always made is about the intelligence and the heart. There were two, one is Damodar Leela that was going on. It's Damodar, month of Damodar, and then we are also hearing the pastimes of Lord Ram. One reflected the sweetness, the exchange of Yashoda and Damodar, and here we see the sorrowful mood of the same love, but it's in the mood is different.
The mood of?
The mood in the Ayodhya, basically like Prabhu was sharing.
The mood of
the sorrow. Yeah. So I was able to appreciate the purpose of Lord Ram going through so much actually. He 14 years in the forest and then again vanishing his wife. He literally lived a life of duty, and actually, like the way you brought it out is at the end, it's all the whole Leela is to attract us to the whole pastimes of the Lord and attract like the words you spoke, seeing Krishna in Keshi Ghat, and so that's my appreciation. Take it more deeper, and the other thing is that the Srimad Bhagavatam systematically takes us to the canto, but I can appreciate how Lord Ram pastimes actually will help us to understand more deeply. So this is some appreciations. Thank you.
Anyone from the ladies' side? Yes? Ananda Vrindavan in the back.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. I feel like all the devotees expressed, I feel very grateful for this yatra. And I think it has been a repeated experience through all the yatras that the yatra is almost like a process, like after the yatra ends, it seems like something continues in our heart. It continues to grow and evolve, and it enlivens and brings so much more awareness. So it's not just 10 days, it's forever. And so I'm appreciating this aspect of the yatras more and more. I think the potency of everything together, association, holy name, dham, it's really very, very powerful. And for me personally, there were so many takeaway points, but one phrase that kind of stuck with me was when you were sharing about Sumitra, when Lakshmana is about to go to the forest, Sumitra gives him permission. She blesses him, in fact, to go with Lord Ram, and she says, you're the king of the kingdom of servitude. The kingdom of servitude, and somehow that phrase was very powerful, and it kind of stayed with me, and I was remembering one other things that we heard, like you always say that the only thing that is really ours is our relationship with Krishna. So in that sense, service to the Lord is what we can really call that what is ours, and we can invest in. And and the weight of the depth of the character of all these personalities, like Lakshmana, Bharata, Anasuya, I mean, it's just mind-blowing, just speechless just to hear about their contemplations and their character. And so one other thing that in this aspect of servitude is, I was very inspired about Bharata, how, in fact, all of them, how they serve the Lord on His terms. We all like to serve, but I have a long list of how I want to serve. But they served on the terms of the Lord, however difficult it was externally. I mean, internally, like you shared, it's the ecstasy of devotion fell through a different emotion. It's just sorrow or whatever, but it's love and ecstasy. So, very inspired to apply it in my own sadhaka life, that I want to come to a stage by the mercy of this yatra, that by contemplating on these messages, to come to a platform of serving the Lord on His terms and not really having a whole list behind them. So, thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Sandini, raise your hand, Sandini. Going to be in Chinese.
首先我感谢我们向Guru Maharaj 的顶拜，感谢还有副院长们组织这么好的联。
First, I offer my obeisances to Guru Maharaj, and very appreciated Guru Maharaj and the other devotees who organized such a wonderful yatra.
每次我参加这个联谊以后，我都学到了很多，因为这个团体啊合作的特别好，组织的特别好，每次我来都学到很多东西。
And after each yatra, I learn a lot from the yatra, and especially learn the spirit of cooperation between the devotees in this team.
古鲁玛哈拉也揭示了这个国家法坛这个奥秘，把这
And Guru Maharaj revealed the mysteries of the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra.
在显现的时候，然后那个 Krishna 展示的那个甜蜜的消时光是很难理解的，然后这个 Ramachandra 显现的消时光，通过咕噜的讲述能学到很多，因为他展示了一个作为一个国王丈夫和儿子的那个典范，怎么做一个人，怎么做一个。
When Lord Krishna descends into this material world, his sweet pastimes is very difficult to understand. But under the guidance of Guru Maharaj, it is easier to enter into the mood of the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra. And Ramachandra manifests a perfect king, perfect son, perfect husband, as a perfect example to us, to all the human beings.
我们在那个中国发展亏纳知觉是有一定的困难的，很复杂，有时候情况。然后我觉得这回来了以后，学到了很多，就是 Ramachandra 向我们展示了怎么去做一个好的领导管理，然后对于伤害他的人，他也宽容他，对他就是他理解到一切发生的事情都是安排，所以有时候有的事情就要原谅对方，就是使到这个团体越来越和谐，有和谐了才能发展。
So in China, it's not easy to develop Krishna consciousness. Sometimes the situation is very complicated. So, but through pastimes of Lord Ramachandra, set a very example as a perfect leadership. And from his pastimes, I learned how to forgive the others who caused harm to somebody. For example, that Lord Ramachandra, he confronted this situation, but he never caused any harm to others. Instead, he forgave the others who hurt him. So he is a perfect leader and set such a perfect example.
我回去以后刚好要有一个东北的联谊会，因为东北非常大，那个 temple 非常多，然后也就是他们的情况也挺复杂，他们请我回去就是给他们有一个课嘛，我就想把这回学到的这个Ramachandra 这些就是心态呀，处理问题的对每个人的他的那种层面心态，然后把它编辑简单的给他们传达一下乌鲁玛哈拉讲的这个课，给他们提高一下互相的服务心态，这个合作心态，将来看看是不是能帮助他们。
So after I go back to China, and I will go to Northeast to attend a meeting there. And sometimes the situation in Northeast is also very complicated. So after this, I would like to share the information from this yatra, and also to deliver the message Guru Maharaj presents here to them. And I hope that this will help them improve their cooperation spirit.
谢谢奉献者们对我们的付出，也让我们有机会服务你们，谢谢大家。
Thank you very much, Guru Maharaj, and thank you all the devotees who take special care of Chinese devotees. So I hope in the future we have such opportunity of serving all of the devotees and invite you to go to China.
I'd like to comment 3 things, and then I think we'll wrap it up. Sandini, you attended the meeting that was recently held in Beijing, where one of the decisions made there was, as you experienced in the GBC college, there was an idea that we should make classes practical, not just philosophical, but practical classes available for the Chinese devotees. So senior visitors have been asked to come up with a seminar or 2 on practical application, particularly to leadership. So one of the topics that I have committed to be a presenter of is cooperation. So not only needed in China, it's a principle that our founder Acharya wanted, and it's most difficult thing in this age of Kali to do is cooperate together. So stay tuned, I'll be making that presentation in somewhere, probably Beijing. And for those of you that don't know, of course, Beijing is the capital of the largest country in the world, China, and this lady that you just heard speaking is the principal person in charge of the Beijing Yatra. By training, she's an artist, and by service, she's carrying burdens on her shoulder like anything, because she just sees the need and she steps forward and does that needful. I would like to be able to assist you in taking what you heard and making it available when you go to Dongdae, but you just take the essences and give the essences, and the devotees will receive essences as best they can. That you're the messenger of what you've heard. I'd like to comment something on what Ananda Vrindavan said. You're the ruler of the kingdom of service. And then she also said, no one can take that kingdom away from you. In other words, circumstances can be whatever they're going to be. But if you're situated in the mood of service, that service can't be taken away. The mood can't be taken, and the opportunity to serve, and maybe this circumstance, that circumstance, whatever is appropriate. But that's eternal, literally. Difficulty comes when, like we were discussing, we're expecting a certain outcome. And when the outcome doesn't come, then something must be wrong. Like Sumantra, for all the associates of Lord Ramachandra, such a servant. But what's the use of the path of truth and righteousness and virtue when this atrocity takes place, when you get this result? Why live such a life when you get that result? Meaning the happiness comes from the result as opposed to the happiness comes from service and the mood of service. And the language of the Ramayana is duty, performance of duty. So that's a mode of goodness happiness. The transcendental happiness is the mode of service. There's different humors of service, but whatever that rasa is, service is at the foundation. Then a final comment, and we'll conclude here. Something that struck me as we were going on and on, similar to what Jamuna Jivana said, is reality, the reality of developing love of God, or Krishna Prema, means these varieties of motions are awaiting us. And the mundane picture of what the expectation is like everything's nice. There's no sadness. Let's say a Judeo-Christian or Western conception is heaven. Not so dissimilar from the Vedic conception of heaven. But even in heaven, there's fear, there's concern that their position will be taken, or competition, and so on and so on. It's not death will come. It's not all of what it's made out to be either. So what's the reality? Very similar to what you were saying, Jivana. The reality is, become attached to Krishna and be ready for ecstatic feelings that may look like something other than an ecstatic feeling. Because you become attached to transcendence, and then it's similar to what Ananda Vrindavan said, it's on his terms. It can go this way or it can go that way, and it's ecstatic. Because there's some higher purpose. When things happen, it's those that are a little older and mature know what I'm saying, and those that are younger are going to learn it. When some difficulty arises, it's hard to understand what the difficulty is, but on the other side of that difficulty is some improvement of some kind by Krishna's divine plan. For those who are sincere devotees, just stay exactly as the Bhagavatam verse says. Stay at the feet of the personality of Godhead, meaning in the mood of serving Him, and just stay there and continue serving Him. And His kindness will come. It's not always going to be like we would have designed it, but we're not all-knowing, and Krishna is all-knowing. And so back to the message, the reality is transcendental emotion awaits us. Are we ready for it? And then look at the other option. Well, I don't know if I'm ready for it. Then what do you get? You get this world of birth and death and attachment to things temporary, and they come and they go, and there's another kind of shoka, or misery. It's misery from beginning to end. Then the other is a transcendental connection with the personality of Godhead, where you're protected. You feel protected. Even in these sections where Lakshman goes, rah, 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 my powerful military skills, I'll stop them all and slaughter them all and let me at them. his mood is then immediately modified by Ramchandra's steadiness. Then he comes back to just being at his feet. So, the world of transcendental rasa is real. It's not imaginary. This is the imaginary one, and that's the real one. And that's awaiting us if we continue on the path of devotional service. And we're getting a picture of at least the Ayodhya version, the Ramachandra pastime version, and become attached to Ram, and that's what's awaiting you. And similarly become attached to Krishna, which is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was encouraging, that we become attached to Krishna. And all of those wonderful feelings, including the feelings of separation, are awaiting us. And that's the reality, that's the spiritual reality. We're way over here, and we're getting a picture of that spiritual reality way over there. And through sound vibration, we're being brought into that spiritual reality. However slowly. So this is a big step forward in entering into that spiritual reality. Each of us according to our position in our spiritual progress. Just continuing hearing spiritual sound vibration from proper sources, letting it go inside, letting it churn, purify, give direction to our lives, greater clarity in our mission and purpose of why we have become devotees, what the goal of being a devotee is, so we can navigate our way through the complexities of life. It's not only in Beijing. Although I'll admit it's pretty complicated in Beijing, knowing the situation a little bit. But Krishna gives us opportunity to serve Him from wherever we are. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Ramchandra ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. There's a little bit of Mahaprasadam left, so I'm going to do that next.